like the street lights that you see behind us, the street lights that we want and need to be on to promote public safety so that everyone, whether they're on a sidewalk, walking, or whether they're in a car on our interstate or on a road, has access to our street lights. And we're seeing an issue in our community where too much copper is being stolen from these street lights, like the ones that you see behind us that have been hit several times. Lights are a basic public service. They're a public safety priority, and we take their maintenance and protection very seriously, both at Louisville Metro government and our partners with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Louisville Metro government is in charge of all of our local municipal roadways around our city. And Kentucky Transportation Cabinet maintains our state roads and interstate highways like the ones right behind us. And on all those roads, there's a challenge that we're facing that it impacts the public safety. If you've occasionally driven around the city at night, you may wonder why a particular street light is not on. And in many of those cases, the reason they might be dark is because there's been an outbreak of copper wire theft across our city. This is happening across the country and has definitely hit us here in Louisville. The resale value of copper and other metals has gone up, and thieves have targeted important public infrastructure, including streetlights, but not just streetlights. Communications infrastructure has also been hit, and that can affect people's phone service. It can also affect important emergency services like 911. Utilities are also impacted by this copper theft. These thieves are causing millions of dollars of damages to critical infrastructure around our city. They're also creating safety hazards for drivers and pedestrians and potentially leaving neighborhoods more vulnerable to crime when streetlights are out. That is unacceptable. And so we're here today to talk about the action that we are taking. We are taking action. Today, I'm proud to announce that our office is helping to launch the Critical Infrastructure Task Force. This task force is comprised of representatives from the Attorney General's office, the Commonwealth Attorney's office, County Attorney, Louisville Metro Council, Louisville Metro Police Department, and other law enforcement agencies, as well as the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and private sector partners like AT&T, LG&E, Spectrum Charter Communications, also secondary metal recyclers, and others. The goal of the Critical Infrastructure Task Force is to coordinate all of our efforts so we can prevent these copper theft crimes, catch the individuals who are responsible for the crimes, and prosecute the criminals who are committing these crimes. And since this task force is a public-private partnership, I'd like to first introduce one of our partners, the president of AT&T Kentucky, Carlos Sanchez. Carlos?
Thank you, Mayor Greenberg. Theft and vandalism of critical communications infrastructure are serious matters that disrupt essential services for our customers, public safety, and the community at large. In recent months, AT&T has worked with Mayor Greenberg, members of Louisville Metro Council, and law enforcement to address the growing concerns around copper theft and vandalism. It has become an epidemic in the Louisville metro area. We're thankful for the mayor's leadership on this, along with Deputy Mayors Nicole George and David James. We applaud the recent copper theft arrests and appreciate how local leadership and law enforcement have rallied around this critical community issue. The bottom line is that copper telecom cable theft puts our community at risk. Destroying communication lines can keep people from reaching emergency services, putting people at risk in times of crime, injury, and crisis. Critical communications infrastructure theft affects the entire community, for both residents and businesses that may be served by the stolen facilities. The immediate impact of lost dial tone or internet may last for hours, days, or even longer as communication companies rebuild their facilities. In addition, cooperatives are indiscriminate in the cables they cut. On many occasions, when they're trying to steal copper lines, the thieves cut fiber optic lines that provide critical connectivity for area residents and businesses and backhaul for our wireless network. At the same time as the industry is working to bridge the digital divide, cooperatives reduce the investment dollars available for continued expansion and growth of the communications network. Because the reality is, the dollars spent for rebuilding and repairs required because of vandalism and theft are dollars which cannot be used for future network upgrades or expansions. AT&T joined the city, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, and others in offering a reward for specific and detailed information that leads to arrest and conviction for copper cable theft or the attempted sale or purchase of stolen copper cable from AT&T anywhere in Kentucky. Tipsters with information can remain anonymous and should call local law enforcement and AT&T Global Security and Investigations. We are proud to serve the businesses and residents of Louisville and the surrounding areas, and we're proud to stand with Mayor Greenberg, with the Louisville Metro Police, with the Louisville Metro Council to ensure our community is safe and stays connected to each other and to the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlos. As Carlos alluded to, this is an incredible partnership. It started with a lot of us in elected and appointed positions. We're hearing from our constituents. We are noticing challenges that we're having on our public roadways and sidewalks. As Carlos mentioned, Deputy Mayor George and Deputy Mayor James really took the lead within our administration. And members of Metro Council are also hearing from their constituents about this challenge. And so it's been great to partner with Metro Council President Marcus Winkler, who has also taken a leading role in many areas as we work to improve public safety across our entire city, including this issue to ensure that we continue to work to prevent and stop the rampant copper theft that's going on. So please join me in welcoming our great partner, the President of Metro Council, Marcus Winkler.
Good morning, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Carlos, and appreciate everybody being here. I think, one of the things that I want to emphasize is, it's not just the impacts on our drivers and our pedestrians in our neighborhoods, but the men and women of KYTC who have to go back out and restring these lights. They're putting themselves at risk, and our communications workers and other linemen and linewomen. So there's significant public safety challenges when we have to go out and repair these kind of damages. It's simply unacceptable, and appreciate the work of the mayor's office, of Deputy Mayor George, Deputy Mayor James, the industry, and all of our community partners to try to address this issue. And certainly want to recognize Colonel Bates and his team for the work that they're doing. We tackled a similar issue with the catalytic converter theft a couple of years ago, made changes to our ordinance that I think have really strengthened enforcement and have significantly cut down on that challenge. And we look forward to working with LMPD to identify other opportunities to strengthen our metal sales ordinances and recyclers ordinances to make sure that if there are thieves that are taking advantage of any loopholes in the law, that we address those challenges. And I know that's something that we're working on right now, and I'm hopeful that we'll have some amendments out of that where we identify loopholes that need to be closed. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, LMPD. Thank you, Colonel Bates.
Thank you, President Winkler. As with other types of crime, we need the public's help to catch the people whose crimes are hurting our community. And so to talk a little bit more about copper theft impact on our utilities, particularly electricity, I'd like to welcome another one of our partners on the Critical Infrastructure Task Force. Tom Jesse from LG&E KU is here to join us today to talk a little bit about that impact. Tom?
All right, thank you, Mayor Greenberg. I appreciate it. Really appreciate being here this morning, and I sincerely appreciate the formation of this task force and the focus to raise awareness of harm and dangers of copper theft in our community. It is a serious problem. At LG&E, Safety of the public and our workforce is absolutely our first priority. Unfortunately, far too often, we have experienced incidents in which individuals steal wire and cable from our facilities, putting themselves in grave danger and placing the public and our employees at risk. The scrap value of these materials is minimal. Much of the wiring you see on our structures and in our substations are ground wires that are made of steel with a copper coating. They are typically not solid copper. This wire is not worth stealing and is certainly not worth the risk that is taken to remove it. Last month, a thief removed ground wires from a high voltage substation in the Milltown area that resulted in catastrophic equipment failure. That could have easily killed that person. Fortunately, that did not happen, but in other situations that has happened. A suspect in that case was arrested through the outstanding work of law enforcement, which we greatly appreciate. The bottom line, stealing wire and cable from an electric utility is very dangerous and it's a crime. We look forward to the ongoing discussions with the task force to keep the public, our employees, and our customers safe and to work together towards solutions that will deter and prevent copper theft in our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. As was mentioned, these thefts impact Louisville. It impacts all of Kentucky. It impacts all of our country. And we've been partnering with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, given how many roadways are under their jurisdiction. So to talk more about their work on this task force and the work that the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is doing, I'd like to welcome Mary Ellen Minier, Executive Director of the Office of Inspector General at KYTC. Mary Ellen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mayor Greenberg. It's an honor to be part of this task force. We're looking forward to working with all of our partners to reduce these crimes and ultimately to prosecute those responsible for them. Ensuring Kentuckians are safe and promoting the efficient use of taxpayer resources are top priorities of the Beshear administration. As you all heard, copper wire thefts are plaguing the Louisville metro area. Where that affects us directly is interstate lighting systems. We have suffered over $1 million in losses thus far, and we have about 1,500 lights that are inoperable because of this continuing theft. Oftentimes we will re-energize lights only to have the copper wire stolen again. So it is very frustrating, and we recognize the frustration of the general public as well with this dilemma. We do want to continue to encourage our citizens to report any suspicious activity or conduct that they see. We have a tip line, as does LMPD. I'm not going to read those here, but they are in your written material. The Transportation Cabinet is also offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and prosecution of those responsible for these thefts. I do want to mention going forward that we have implemented a solar lighting pilot project. You may have heard a little bit about this. It's a $200,000 project that is underway in Jefferson County. We are focusing first on two of the major interchanges that we've seen a lot of this conduct and the 4 ramps that are associated with those interchanges. Real quickly, those are the I-64 West on-ramp from Northwestern Parkway, the I-64 East off-ramp at exit 3 to 22nd Street, the I-264 West on-ramp, west on-ramp from Bank Street, and the I-264 East off-ramp at exit 1 at Bank Street. That'll take about a year, and we will be working with our partner at University of Louisville, which is the Kluger Transportation Research Group, to study the effectiveness of that project and then help us make determinations moving forward as to how we want to go about implementing that. Obviously, the goal would be to reduce or strictly eliminate copper wire from our systems, and that obviously then makes it very much less attractive to these thieves. So again, I do want to thank Mayor Greenberg, LMPD, and all of the wonderful partners here today for organizing the task force. I am very encouraged by it, and I'm sure we can all work together to find solutions to these pervasive problems. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mary Ellen. Thanks to Secretary Jim Gray. Thanks to Governor Beshear for all of your support of this task force. It truly takes state and local officials working together with the private sector to make this happen. And finally, to talk about the importance of preventing thefts and what we're doing to catch the thieves, I'd like to introduce another one of our key partners from LMPD, and that is Colonel Ryan Bates, who's going to talk a little bit more about that.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. This is an important issue that not only affects the quality of life, but also affects the safety of our residents and visitors. LMPD is here as the law enforcement arm of this task force. Louisville Metro is experiencing a concerning amount of copper theft and wire theft recently. To give you perspective, copper theft obviously impacts public safety. LMPD's top priority is keeping the public as safe as we possibly can. Wire theft negatively impacts 911 calls, can cause an interruption to government services, and also has a negative impact on employee and community safety. As you've heard, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet reports a loss well over $1 million. This loss includes not only the wire theft, but replacement costs and labor. What we are doing, the Louisville Metro Police Department is improving communication amongst our patrol division detectives, our major crimes division, bond units, to identify, locate, and arrest people stealing copper and wire throughout the city. We are conducting audits and citing non-compliant secondary metal recyclers. We are communicating with secondary metal recyclers regarding the need for compliance and how to maintain records and information in accordance with the ordinance. We are working with the Jefferson County's Attorney's Office to develop changes that strengthen the ordinance and reduce opportunities for criminals to sell and profit from stolen wire or copper. Once this is complete, we will request assistance from the Louisville Metro Council to sponsor and vote on the proposed changes to strengthen the ordinance. We are collaborating and sharing information with other agencies working on similar cases in their jurisdiction. We need for the public to remain vigilant and report any copper or wire that they see in a timely manner. Also, to provide us with information that they may have about wire theft and any suspects. If they wish to remain anonymous, urge them to utilize our tip line 574 LMPD. I would like to thank our partners at AT&T, LG&E, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Alcohol Beverage Control, St. Matthews, Middletown, Shively Police Departments, and the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. We appreciate our local secondary metal recyclers for collaborating with us on ways to help mitigate these issues. We'd also like to thank the mayor's administration and the public for recognizing the need to address these issues and to help make our city safer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Bates. Really appreciate you and everyone from LMPD that has partnered with us on this effort. Thanks to President Winkler and Mark and Metro Council, to LG&E, to Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, to AT&T, Carlos and his entire team, Deputy Mayor James, and Deputy Mayor George, and everyone else that is working on this. We will continue to stay vigilant. We will continue to work to prevent copper theft, and we will continue to work in partnership to ensure that those that are stealing copper are held accountable. And before we take any questions, just one other unrelated item to share, some good news. As you've heard me say before, sustainability is a key priority for our administration. It informs the work of all of our work in all of the city agencies and all of our partners. And I want to share the great progress that we're making here. I'm going to start offering occasionally some sustainability shout-outs during some of our weekly press conferences. For example, since Friday was International Electric Waste Day, I have some updates from our Metro Technology Services team. Earlier this year, the team began a new partnership with the electronics recycling firm ER2 to improve our electronic recycling efforts. And this collaboration has produced more than 11 tons of product waste being recycled, saved over 3,600 gallons of water, reduced over 32,000 pounds of greenhouse gas, more than 7,800 pounds of total metals diverted, and $44,000 returned to the city's general funds. Metro Technology Services also assists other city departments with recycling, which reduces waste and improves efficiency. So thanks so much to all of our colleagues at Metro Technology Services and across city government for prioritizing sustainability. Special thanks to Metro Technology Services' Monique Hunt for sharing this great news with us so we can share it with the entire community and see just another area where there is great momentum all across our city. This is but one of the many ways that we make our city safer, stronger, and healthier. Thank you all very much for coming. We'll continue to keep you all updated on the progress of the Critical Infrastructure Task Force. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions. We're happy to take any questions about the task force, or I can certainly answer any other questions you all might have. So, I mean, there are several different subcommittees that have been organized with the task force. So we have we have one subcommittee that's prioritizing working on preventing the theft, one that's working on how we and when we catch those who are committing those. We've got a subcommittee that's working with the industry where often the copper wire is brought. And so there are, I think, 4 or 5 different subcommittees that are all working on parallel path to address this issue, given the complexities that it has. How the solar panels, which that I need to turn over to someone. Do you want to speak to some of them?
Thank you, Mayor. Do you have a specific question about the solar lighting? It will be at mast level, which is obviously at the very top of the mast, so it won't require wiring from fixture to fixture. It is angled downward to account for any inclement weather, such as snow or anything that would impede the solar reflectivity of that. And then also, if through the winter months, if you have, obviously you're going to have less sunlight, the batteries on each of those will run 7 to 10 days with no power at all. So we feel pretty good about how that's going to work. And as I said, as we roll that out, we will have an effective study running concurrently that will tell us if we have problems or if we need to tweak it. So. I'm sorry, I can't hear. That I don't have the information on, but if you'd like to get in touch with our public information officer in District 5, I'm sure she can round that up for you. I would say that just generally speaking, over time, it's definitely going to be more cost effective than having to rerun the wire every single time there's a cut. What else?
One of the other committees that I meant to mention is the legislative committee. As President Winkler mentioned, changing some of the local ordinances is also something that we're focused on. So that was one of the other committees as well.
Yeah, I think to answer that question, I think it's a little too early to say exactly. I mean, some of the feedback from LMPD relates to like the capturing of information when somebody is dropping off the wiring. So I think right now it's just a picture of the ID and a license plate. So there might be some additional reporting requirements. I think, one of the things that we know is people bringing in burnt copper. So there may be some additional limitations around that. So those are all the things we're looking at to determine what are the appropriate guardrails that need to be put in place.
Are there any other cities or anybody else that you're looking at that is something like this?
Yeah, there is the answer to that.
I mean, we're kind of standing in front of the scene of where this happened previously, right? Can you just talk about what we're looking at here? I mean, a gun fence and a bunch of gun poles, right?
That's exactly right. That's why we're here. We want the community to see what is happening by folks that are committing copper theft. They're destroying infrastructure like fences. We're standing in front of lights that have been hit multiple times, and that has to end. And that's the work of this Critical Infrastructure Task Force, is to work towards that goal.
Is that kind of the most frustrating part, is that this keeps getting fixed and then people come through and they cut it right back out?
That is one of the many frustrating parts about this, yes. Okay, wait 1 second.
How many open investigations into thefts are there right now in Metro?
I don't have that information at this time. We can maybe, if you get it, circle back, we can try to get that for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The question was about how many open investigations do we have, and Deputy Chief Bates does not have that answer, but he's going to get that answer. We believe it's multiple groups of individuals. It's not just one person committing all the copper theft around the city. Oh.
I mean, we have cases where people have worked together to do this, but I don't know if I would consider them an organized group or just a few guys that got together to go out and commit this type of thing on any given night.
Anything else?
I'm going to switch gears, Major, here, if you don't mind. The talks about Humana and the Sigma merger have flared back up again. I just wondered if you had anything from your neck of the woods to talk about Humana, because they're a big fish in town.
Humana is a very important and wonderful corporate citizen in Louisville. For the past many decades, they have contributed so much here, helping drive our economy, creating thousands of new jobs, giving back to our city, giving back to nonprofit organizations, and we want Humana to continue to grow here in Louisville. And based on my conversations with their new CEO, Jim, and many of the other senior executives at Humana, that is my expectation and belief that Humana will continue to grow here in Louisville, continue to be a critically important part of our city for years to come. I should have repeated the question. The question was just about Humana's future here in Louisville. Right. The $1 million cost was the Kentucky Transportation Cabinets has estimated their cost of replacing copper due to copper theft at over $1 billion. Carlos, is there anything else about the rewards that you want to add?
So AT&T is offering a $10,000 reward that leads to the arrest and conviction of any individual who is perpetrating this crime.
Yes, the Transportation Cabinet is offering a $5,000 reward that is in addition to AT&T's reward. Ours is designed for copper theft, but obviously we're all a team here. We want to solve these issues. And we do have a tip line, and that's in your written material as well. But I believe all three entities have tip lines now, LMPD, Office of Inspector General, and AT&T as well.
One more question, guys.
So let me just restate that one more time. That if you have information about individuals that are committing copper theft in our community, please call 574-LMPD. There are tips of $15,000 available for information that leads to the arrest and convictions of individuals that are committing copper theft. AT&T and Kentucky Transportation Cabinet are putting up those rewards of $15,000 for information that leads to the arrest and convictions of individuals that are committing copper theft across our city.
One more.
How long over time was that $1 million the past year?
2 years. Yep. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day.
Ask him if he can come and take a picture.
Thank you.
So that we can see the fence.
Yes.